trying to put all these games together, and disappointing that East Carolina Marshall may not play, but under these circumstances, hey, look, I think anybody would be happy just to see some sort of football.
Yeah.
And a lot of great questions get ready to come up at 5 o'clock in the third hour with Jon Gilbert of now East Carolina really only has 4 home games: UCF, Navy, Tulane, and SMU, and 5 away games. So if you're a season ticket holder, you've lost 2 home games as of now. And, how are will it get to a point where East Carolina only ends up playing basically a conference schedule, 4 at home, 4 on the road?
Well, you have been saying that the non-conference games don't really matter anyway this year, correct? And so what about, Morgan's statement, we need to play on the 19th? Do you try to get a game in before the UCF game on the 26th?
At this point, no. I mean, you're rushing it. I mean, I would wait to get it right, and get it right on September the 26th. I mean, get it right from what you're going to do if you're going to allow fans in the stadium. Get it right from a safety standpoint for the players and the coaches, and quit rushing to get these crazy amount that you have to play X number of games. Just try to play a game first. Everybody play a game first, and then let's go from there. How does that go? And then I think let's just wait and get it right on the 26th, and then then go the next. And then the next week is interesting because that's away at Georgia State. So that's your next game, and then your next game after that is away at South Florida. So it's you have a home game. Originally, it was going to be Marshall and UCF, 2 home games, and then 2 road games. So hey, look, let's just all tap the brakes, and the football team, number one, has to get back to practice.
Yeah, that is another story too.
That's the big elephant in the room right now. You can worry about the 26 all you want, but if the team isn't practicing, that's really irrelevant.
That's a good point. Ellerby, there's a game scheduled for Saturday. It's an FCS game, the first one, and then the first FBS games coming up next Thursday. So those are key dates. Again, you got to have, if you're going to have games played, you got to have that first one. So I'm hoping that no announcement comes out in the next 48 hours, and that game will be played on Saturday, because I don't know, if teams and conferences see that happen and it goes off without a hitch, then, hey, we can play football, right?
I think Saturday is a huge day for college football. I think once you see the toe hit the leather and someone catch it or take a knee, a touchback or whatever, or run the kickoff back, then I think that's a huge step towards the start of college football season, of being like, wow, it can happen. So that from a sports perspective, all these leagues and schools that have decided to play, hey, look, they're trying to find a way to push forward and make it happen. And I think Saturday is going to be a huge start.
Ellerby joining us here. We'll talk to Igoe in a little bit. We have a Zoom call right now that Glenn and Troy are monitoring, and once Igoe is off that Zoom with Jon Gilbert, we'll get him on the Fixed NC live line, as we'll hear from Jon Gilbert coming up on this show at 5 o'clock, and we've got a lot of questions for him. We'll see how many answers he has regarding the ECU football team, the schedule, and everything moving forward with a fall 2020 season, which is still on tap to play. It's just been kicked down the road a little bit. Ellerby, I said it earlier, it feels like ECU's season opener is always a month away. We can't get any closer. It's frustrating.
The crazy thing, the irony, as we sit here today was going to be the day of the 9th annual Pirate Radio football kickoff party. I mean, because a lot of people have probably forgotten, Saturday was going to be game day for ECU originally. Week 0, ECU versus Marshall. Today was going to be the big kickoff party.
Tomorrow's going to be free boots.
I'd be at the Hilton right now for a sound check.
Saturday, Bud Light pregame.
So many things have turned upside down. Jon Gilbert, the Pirate Radio Twitter account, tweeting that Jon Gilbert saying in the Zoom call, currently we have 30 individuals within the ECU football program that are either infected or in quarantine due to COVID-19 trace testing. So that is, you can follow us at PR927FM on Twitter. So a lot of updates there, and I know Jon will be here in studio coming up in hour 3 and be able to expand even more on what he's talking about with the media at the Zoom right now. So definitely a lot of questions, and I'm sure, Jon Gilbert, man, what a tough gig. He walked into a tough gig.
Yeah,
as soon as he got here, and then what else? And then things out of his control with COVID. So certainly just unprecedented times, decisions, things to think about that, I mean, that you're just flying by the seat of your pants and learning on the job, literally, of what to do.
Yeah, that 30 number, high enough where they want to get the thing under control and, make sure that they run more tests and hopefully have those negative tests pop up so they can get back on the field.
And that's 30 individuals. That doesn't necessarily mean 30 players. I mean, it could be within the football program.
Yeah.
It also means with trace testing. So, I mean, it could be someone like, hey, Clip, you were in contact with me, so you're having just to be in quarantine.
It could be one positive test, and he was around 8-9 people.
Right.
And then
if it was one offensive lineman, and he was in the offensive room together. So, I mean,
but now, Ellerby, that the students are gone, there's a virtual learning only, online classes only. Once they get this situation under control, then it's not a complete bubble like in Orlando or Toronto or Edmonton, but it's about the closest you can get in college to a bubble because you're only going to be around the same people every day
until you play the opponent.
Correct.
And you have to have a lot of trust in Central Florida.
Yeah,
when they come into Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium, and
Mike Oresco set the standards for how the testing was going to be done and everything in the AAC a while back. So again, but you have to trust that everybody's doing it correctly and being honest about the results, even if it is your best player. You you got to have some morals here.
And I mean, the NBA is a true bubble, but I mean, how do these college players? They can still, I guess, go out to eat. I mean, I don't know what.
Right? Yeah.
It's not go to the grocery store.
That's why I said it's the closest thing you can get to it in college.
I mean, there's no guarantee of that you can completely isolate them. And I mean, and yet again, they're student athletes. They're not professional athletes that are getting paid. So it's very it's an interesting deal with this whole college thing, but I agree. I do think that the chances decrease with not having to go to class and a lot of other college students having to go home.
Ellerby, can you stick around another segment?
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. Still planning to hook up with Igoe here in hour number 2. Also follow our social media sites. Twitter, we are live tweeting the Jon Gilbert Zoom. You'll hear from Jon Gilbert himself coming up in the third hour of today's program. Also, we got to open up the booty bag in hour number 3, Shirley Rhodes. Well, you know what we're giving away today? You make the call.
We are going to give away, let me find my list here. Let's do tiebreakers.
Tiebreakers.
Lunch for 2.
Lunch for 2 at Tiebreakers. Some great options. We'll do that in hour number 3 as well. So a lot more to go here on Pirate Radio Live. We're back with you after this.
Let's turn a trip to the branch into a tap on your phone. Let's hit pause on a lost debit card without hitting pause on life. That's how First National Bank is redefining convenience with a top-rated mobile app that puts more security and control at your fingertips and friendly people to help you succeed right by your side. Let's get started at fnb-online.com or your local First National Bank. FNB member FDIC.
Hey, Pitt County Schools families, the month of August is here and school will certainly be different this year. If you are starting school 100% virtually or are attending school face-to-face on alternating weeks, we are looking forward to resuming the purpose of our system, and that's the education of the children in Pitt County in an excellent and a safe manner. For videos with our leaders, FAQs, and so much more information to answer your questions, visit our Road to Reopening page on our website at pittschools.org or keep up with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Remember, we'll face this upcoming school year together because we are Pitt County Schools strong.
If you're like many, you may have put on the Corona 5, 10, or even 15 over the last 2 months. Well, the weather is warm and it's time to get that body back on track. At Clean Eats, we have you covered. Our weekly meal plan will quickly help you get back to where you want to be. Order online at cleaneats.com. Our cafe is back open, sanitized, and waiting to serve you healthy lunch and dinner options for dine-in, takeout, curbside, or even delivered through our delivery partners. Clean Eats, it's a lifestyle. 805 Red Banks Road, Arlington Village.
This is Dr. Elizabeth Robinson with Orthopedics East and Sports Medicine Center. Our extended care clinic is open on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our office on W.H. Smith Boulevard. We treat a variety of urgent orthopedic conditions without an appointment. For more information, please contact us at 757-2663 or visit our website at www.orthoeast.com.
Do you think you or your employees might have been exposed to COVID-19? Arc Point Labs of Greenville offers same-day COVID-19 results. No referral needed. Same-day results available. Arc Point Labs of Greenville offers easy employer solutions to COVID-19 testing. Arc Point Labs of Greenville is located across from Vidant Hospital on Executive Circle behind Southern Bank. Call for an appointment or walk in. Arc Point Labs of Greenville, 215-5688 or arcpointlabs.com.
With rates being historically low, now is the best time to buy or refinance your home. This is Talbot Green with Angel Oak Home Loans. Now is the time to take advantage of the opportunity to buy more home or refinance your current mortgage. The combination of our local team's experience and Angel Oak's wide offerings of products from standard conventional, government, and portfolio loans has something for most financial situations. For more information, call Talbot Green, Joanne Weir, or Wanda Hager at 751-2060.
NMLS 1719250 and 685-842. Equal housing lender.
Hey, Pirate fans, the Papa John's menu has grown again with the all-new grilled buffalo chicken papadilla. The papadillas are part sandwich, part pizza, and are only $6. Choose from the all-new grilled buffalo chicken, Philly cheesesteak, Italian, pepperoni meatball, and barbecue chicken and bacon, all for only $6 each. Also, for a limited time, get any large 5-topping pizza for only $13.99. Place your order today online at papajohns.com and sign up for Papa Rewards. Papa John's, the official pizza of the ECU Pirates.
I'm Michael Vaughn with East Coast Grading and Utilities. Many of you know my dad, David Vaughn, and his work in putting in subdivisions all over Pirate Nation. But East Coast Grading and Utilities is not just for those type of big jobs. We're here for the homeowners. Whether it's concrete, driveways, hauling rock, or sand, whatever you need, East Coast Grading and Utilities can get the job done. Call us at 252-531-7494 or check us out on Facebook at East Coast Grading and Utilities.
This is Big John Williams, strength and conditioning coach for East Carolina football, and you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to Hour 2 of Pirate Radio Live. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. PRL this afternoon is brought to you by Bud Light, who reminds Pirate fans to always stay in the game and drink responsibly. Bud Light, proudly distributed by Carolina Eagle Distributing since 1989. A clip as we head back into Pirate Radio Live. Got a couple of updates for you. Number one, ECU has sent out a campus alert that another cluster of viruses have been identified. This time it's 8 people in Scott Hall and 9 positive cases associated with the Sigma sorority. That's the information that we have right now. So a total of 17 cases have been identified as of just a few moments ago. As far as football goes, we were talking about the Troy ULM game that was scheduled for September 5th, was moved to December 5th. The Sun Belt Championship was scheduled for December 5th. That has now been moved to December 12th. And we have a fan update for a couple of NFL teams. The Eagles will not have any fans at the Link until further notice, I should say. And the Steelers will not have any fans at Heinz Field for at least the first 2 games of the season.
All right. Good updates. Thank you, Shirley. Appreciate that. And Ellerby, you were mentioning that, bowl season, it could be a wash, so December's wide open. I think the conference championships, too, are floating. Those dates can float back if they need to 2, 3, 4 weeks as well.
I think everything's floating right now, and I just think, look, everybody's got to get one game in, and the first game is Saturday is going to be a big step of getting the first one in the books to say. So interesting on the sounds like the state of Pennsylvania is going fanless up there. I think we'd seen that before with Temple saying that they weren't going to have any fans at Lincoln Financial Field. So I guess I don't know where the Eagles fans will throw snowballs or batteries at each other.
You'll have to virtually throw batteries or, go out in the front yard and throw one at your neighbor if you're an Eagles fan. Looking at some of the Jon Gilbert quotes from the Zoom he's doing right now. Again, we will have Jon Gilbert on this program coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. And he says we needed to do this, move the game, to have our team healthy and ready to play in a football game. So it's a health issue. I am still kind of wondering, Ellerby, is it a a fan issue, because Jon Gilbert has kind of mentioned that, it's going to cost a lot of money to play this season and play games at home with no fans. And, do you think they could be kicking the can down the road, hoping that they can get fans in the stands later on? Do you think there's anything to that?
Maybe, I guess. I mean, he one of the quotes we have on the Pirate Radio Twitter account is, students are very much a part of our plan for attendance once we find out what that is. And
I just feel like he's talking quite a bit about fans. He's probably being asked questions about it. But
I think I think the number one question is, if you want to talk about students, let's talk about the players. They're the student athletes. When are they going to start practicing back? And then number two, what do you envision with fans? How do you, and who gets selected? And do they refund everybody that bought season tickets, and then you just put X number of general admission tickets for sale for whatever home games you have, and you do it on a week by week basis? Like, I don't know why you would put any single game tickets for sale for SMU out so far out. I mean, just take care of the UCF game, see if you play that game, and then do the Navy game, then the Tulane, then so go week by week, depending on how many fans, because your capacity of potentially could rise or fall depending on how everything goes. With everything's so fluid. I think I would just take it on a game by game basis, and if to answer your question, to think about it, it kind of, to me, still gets back to the SEC model. Why didn't everybody? And it gets back to me of why college football is still messed up too. Everybody just made their own decisions on their own, versus if there was somebody that said blanketed, here's what we're going to do. Everybody cannot start before September the 26th. That's going to be our start date for everybody. And then that would have given everybody time to evaluate all the situation, evaluate wherever they are in the region of the country and their conferences and everything. To me, then you wouldn't have all these situations that we're currently having, because SEC presidents and athletic directors right now don't seem to be having these problems. They're kind of locked in right now of what their start date has always been September the 26th since July 30th.
Yeah, we saw some conferences drop before the Big Ten, like I think the MAC did. Maybe they dropped it, but there were schools and conferences that were out before the Big Ten. But did the Big Ten just think that everybody was going to fall in line and follow their lead, which was not playing football? I mean, the Pac-12 did, but they kind of stopped after that.
Yeah, I think the Big Ten may have forgotten that. I mean, how many national championships has the SEC won in the last 15 years? And I mean, they're the league dog in college football. And I know Big Ten doesn't want to admit that, but unfortunately, the SEC rules college football, and they are currently ruling how things are getting done. And whether they get to play football or not, we'll wait and see. But right now, they have right now presented the best plan for, I believe, their schools and in their conference of, by doing a conference only schedule and starting September the 26th. That seems to be make the most sense, and they're not having to schedule, unschedule, pause, unpause. They're kind of doing their thing.
The Big Ten is pretentious. You remember they did have their divisions called Leaders and Legends.
Yes.
And I think that lasted for like a year, maybe two, and then they said maybe we should just go with a direction instead of Leaders and Legends.
And then all the stuff with the Big Ten of them like wanting to start in December or January or whatever. Their winter leagues with I heard the voice.
Yeah, Jeff Charles was
talking about playing in the 5. Like all of a sudden, it's just magically going to be safer then for them to, because they're going to have to start practicing. I mean, the whole thing is, look, once they decided you're going to move forward and try to play a college football season, if you're a leader making those decisions, then push forward and do the best to try to play. And what kind of problems or obstacles may be in your way. And if you get to a point where your plan fails, then look, that's on the leadership. Then accountability needs to be held for people that are making these decisions. And it's the same thing. If the SEC, ACC, Big 12, AAC, they all end up playing college football this year, then the people in the Big 10 and the Pac-12 are going to have a lot of answers and accountability. Mm-hmm. And I think, their job should be on the line for it. I mean, they made a bad enough decision that it may not work out, and maybe it could work the other way as well. If everybody tries to play and then it ends up being a complete disaster,
Right.
then I think that somebody needs to be held accountable. That's what leaders are all about. Leaders make tough decisions, and you got to make decisions, good or bad, and how you make up for the mistakes is what makes you a better leader. And if the mistake becomes too much of a catastrophe, then you lose your job over it.
Before today's news that ECU and Marshall would not be playing on September 12th, we were kind of doing some math and looking around like, okay, when does ECU need to return to practice so they'll be ready to play Marshall coming up on the 12th? Well, now, Ellerby, you've got a much bigger window to get ready for UCF on September 26th, and you kind of gave the cry earlier that now we can relax and let's do this right on September 26th. But again, you do have a little more time to get back to practice. Do you have a date in mind of when that could be, now that you know that the news that Jon Gilbert put out earlier today with the number of cases and everything?
It looks like right now that, according to the Pirate Radio Twitter account, that they're hoping to get back to training and conditioning in the next few days.
That's good, son.
And then maybe practicing by
next
Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Yeah. Early next week.
And the whole thing's just been, bizarre too, because I heard Morgan mention, and it's true, East Carolina has had a lot of extra practice because originally they were supposed to play this Saturday. So they were able to start earlier than some of the other college football programs. And then, as you know, during spring and during fall camp and all this, there's always these structured and certain number of practices you can have. But where are they? Well, on that chart right now, how it is. We always, traditionally we always get this planned media kit of when we can get availability for coaches and players.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday has been traditionally the practice.
Right, and then you just kind of know that those are the days, and then scrimmages are Saturdays. But where are they with the correct number of practices? Are they letting that bend a little bit more this year? Whoever's in charge. But ultimately, the mess of college football has come into the mess that it is because of there's no central leadership or person in charge making, here's the standard for what we're supposed to do. And it's just, hey, look, everybody's playing with their own puzzle pieces, trying to figure out their own Rubik's Cube, I guess. And East Carolina's is purple and gold, and then mixed in with some American colors because that's where we are in the conference.
3 schedule announcements made today. The postponement of ECU Marshall on the 12th. Also, ECU will take on Central Florida on the 26th instead of the 24th, so it moved from Thursday to Saturday. And Shirley, do you have the date for the Cincinnati game that also got moved there on your master sheet?
The ECU Cincinnati game? Yes, November 14th.
So that is the date they'll play?
Yes.
That moved from a Thursday to Saturday as well, Ellerby. So getting out of the Thursday and onto a Saturday, is that, TV, more opportunities for ECU to get on ESPN or whatever, or because they were going to be on ESPN anyway on a Thursday?
I think it's just common sense of just let's get off the weekday games. Mm-hmm. Let's just play Saturday games, and ESPN has ESPN Plus right now. Let's just use, hey, what's best? Let's do what we say of what's best for the student athletes. Let's not, would it be cool for ESPN to have the East Carolina on a Thursday night game? But no, let's do what makes common sense. Let's do what is for the safety and the best interest of.
But does that even matter now that you have online classes?
With that sense, no. But just get in a routine where you're just playing on Saturdays.
Anyway,
and get off the weekdays where you're playing on a short week, or get on a routine where every week is the same. You have Monday off or Sunday off, Monday off. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday walk through, and then you play Saturday, and you go ahead and get consistent testing procedures each week. This is obviously an unusual year, but let's get back to the basics and simplify everything. And as I said, let's come up with a system that it can be that everybody can a protocol that everybody can follow and do the same things. East Carolina, Central Florida, South Florida, all the teams in our conference should be doing the same things every week, getting ready for a Saturday game. And all the players should know, because if we're playing another team like that week, that, hey, look, on Tuesday is testing day. On Wednesday is full pad practice. Whatever the schedule needs to be, that's what it's got to be if they want to successfully try to pull this season off.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, I'm super excited about Monday, September 7th, BYU and Navy. So give me Monday night football in college football.
I can hear the theme song playing in my background. Yeah, I'm ready to see some football on television, but at this point, they've got to get their processes and procedures correct, and they have to do it, and you have to do it consistently. And I mean, as I said, coaches are all about routines and all this stuff of, look, college football needs to be a Saturday deal this year, and it needs to be done at whatever game time works best for the schools. And the ESPN, as I said, has enough platforms. They can put it on Plus, they can put it on the news, they can do whatever, and people will stream it, people will follow it. So that's what's got to happen in order to make East Carolina work.
And everybody's made adjustments and sacrifices and changes, but you're saying that even with that, now let's see if we can all get on one page and be uniform and have a schedule and have a set deal moving forward with this thing. So,
I think that's the only way it's going to work. I don't see any other way that it can work.
All right, Ellerby, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm surrounding myself with positive people today. I've been kind of down. So Morgan in hour 1, you here in hour 2.
Yeah, you just appreciate that. Look, you got to fall forward if you're going to fall.
All right, we'll leave it at there. Leave it at that.
Fall forward. Look forward to the rest of the show. Exciting stuff.
Stephen Igoe going to join us on the other side on the Fixed NC Live Line. We'll get his thoughts on everything going on this crazy day. ECU Marshall will not be playing on September 12th. We'll get his thoughts on what Jon Gilbert had to say during the Zoom that just wrapped up. And then we'll hear from Jon Gilbert again coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. More to go on Pirate Radio Live after this.
Hey Pirate Nation, this is Troy D. Proud to be co-founder, one of the owners and operators of Pirate Radio. As we launch into our 18th year in business, we have a lot of exciting news to share. Our afternoon drive show, PRL, Pirate Radio Live, has a new look and is now streaming live every day from our brand new digital studio from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can find us on our Pirate Radio YouTube page and our Facebook page, plus our website, pr927fm.com. If you're in your car, put us on 92.7 FM in Greenville or 104.1 FM in Washington. The new and improved 3-hour PRL is hosted by Clip Rock and Shirley Rhodes and will feature the latest breaking news, awesome guests, and your favorite Pirate Radio personalities, like The Voice.
It's got CBS Sports Network live on, and there is golf going on, so I'm just following those scores. That's about all I got as far as sports right now. So
pretty much.
I'm looking at some numbers. Thank you for that, Shirley. Stephen Igoe joins us now on the Fixed NC Live Line. Every now and then, Igoe and I will just argue with each other and start yelling at each other. And right now, we're arguing via text on if Shirley called Igoe or not. He says you did not call. I'm saying you did.
I did, and it rang and rang and rang, and then I got his voicemail.
All right. So, Stephen, I'm telling you, Shirley called you a minute ago.
Well, she may have called my other number because my phone did not notify me, nor did it show up on my recent calls or voicemail or anything. So maybe I'm having a service issue.
Okay.
Or maybe you called another Stephen Igoe.
Well, let me just put it this way, Igoe. If, in fact, in my Rolodex the number is incorrect, it's in Clip's handwriting. So I'm just going to put that out there.
So now it's come down to my fault. I shouldn't even have brought this up.
I'm going to double check with you in the break and make sure I got the right number.
All right.
That's fine with me. Maybe it was just a weird glitch with my service or something.
A glitch in the matrix. Igoe, your thoughts on today? ECU Marshall postponed on September 12th. Were you a lot of times or catch wind of some news before it breaks? Did this one catch you by surprise today, or did you know this was coming?
It definitely caught me by surprise. I'm not even going to pretend to act like I knew that this was coming. Just talking with some people early part of the week, the hope was that ECU would be able to get back out of this pause and start practice on, Tuesday or Wednesday. I got kind of worried because I was talking to some people, and they were saying, more and more players, et cetera, were getting put into quarantine due to contact tracing. So I knew that, the further test results had come back and not been good. And I never heard a number or anything, but I was estimating in my head based off how many positives were announced last week and how many guys were being put into quarantine. They probably had 20 plus guys in quarantine, but I still figured there might have been a chance to get up and running by the end of this week. But I think with, the numbers continuing to spread, Jon Gilbert said they have 30 members or people within the football program. They don't necessarily all have to be players, but with the number reaching 30 due to either positive tests or contact tracing, that's a pretty substantial number, and you're still, I assume, doing contact tracing from there with your latest cases and having to take precautions. And, I said all along, if this pause extended into the weekend and into next week, that's when you would start to worry about the September 12th game, because if you got somebody in quarantine this week, they're going to be able to return after 14 days, and then that's 2 or 3 days before September 12th. So you don't have any time to get ready, et cetera. So, looking back on it, it makes sense that they went ahead and made this decision, because if you've got 30 people in quarantine, those 30 people probably can't realistically play on September 12th in a safe manner, and that's a fourth, if not more, of your football team. So it does make sense. It's unfortunate. It sucks, et cetera, but hopefully they can find a way to reschedule this game.
Stephen Igoe, Hoist the Colors, joining us, coming off the news that ECU Marshall has been postponed, and also ECU UCF has been moved from a Thursday to a Saturday, September 26th. I didn't realize that Mike Houston also chatted via Zoom. Great job by Glenn Griffin and the crew getting these quotes up, and I'm reading Pirate Radio's Twitter right now and saw where Coach Houston said, Igoe, that, quote, "We began UCF preparation today. We started film today. That's what we have to do as coaches, get ready for what's next," end quote. He also mentioned that it's more than just coaching X's and O's right now. It's trying to coach his players mentally. A lot going on for Mike Houston and everybody who's running the college football program right now.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And I asked the question about mental health, and just because, and he made a good point. He's a 48-year-old head coach, and even he's getting frustrated, at times emotional over the roller coaster nature of everything going on with coronavirus. We, as media members, we obviously, and I think fans of the sport, we want to see games. We'll try being, a 20-year-old player, and you've invested so much into wanting to play. Just this Marshall game, it was scheduled to originally take place on September 5th. It's moved to August 29th. Then it's moved back September 12th. And all off season, you weren't sure if you're going to be able to play the game. Then the game is set date for September 12th, and now it's potentially might not even get played, even though it sounds like obviously they're going to try to play it. But that's got to be frustrating. You don't really have a date right now. Yeah, you have September 26th, but like you said earlier on Twitter, Cliff, that's still a month away, and really you don't start locking in on that date until you get about a few weeks out. So the fact that the date keeps being moved seemingly every week or so has got to be extremely frustrating for these players. They're not able to interact with their student body like normal. They're not able to be a regular college student or a college student athlete and get to acclimate or say stuff to their friends or see them in person, et cetera, due to the restrictions that they have to follow in order to try and play this ball. So Mike Houston did say it was very important. He did get the opportunity to meet with his team in person and to inform the players over Zoom. Everybody that's in quarantine also joined the meeting over Zoom. And he was able to tell them before it got out to the media, because that can be very frustrating.
Yeah. Igoe, the Twitter exchange of the day came between you and Mike Houston. You said a couple hours ago, ECU and Marshall do not have another open date that matches up as things stand right now, as you mentioned a moment ago. And at 3:08, Mike Houston tweeted, "Yet, ellipses." So that was pretty cool. And again, like every time you get beat down and knocked down and punched into your corner, you get a little positive, bright, shiny news to help you get back up and find your legs again. And I don't know, just him saying "yet," it kind of fired me up for a second. I bet it did fans too, that he's kind of fighting, he's working to obviously get this football season in, to get any game in he can get in.
Yeah, and I think he knows how important that Marshall game is. Definitely make no bones about it. These coaches want to coach. They want to play more than anybody. And so, I definitely think it was encouraging that he tweeted that, to kind of reinforce, hey, just because this game is getting postponed, et cetera, we're not going to try and play the game. So, he's been pretty, he said from the beginning, talked to him for an interview like in June and July, and he said from the beginning, before we even really got into all this mess, even though it was clear COVID was going to wreak havoc on the sports world, that, you're going to see things come up that otherwise you would have never dreamed about. Games being canceled, games being postponed, and it just so happens ECU is one of the first games where this is or one of the first teams where it's happening to. And so, he was on it a while ago, and he said during the Zoom today it's going to be one of those situations where he thinks that you're going to see a lot more teams kind of catch up with the virus in terms of, ECU and these North Carolina schools, UNC system schools are a few weeks ahead of most of college football, because students came back earlier than most of the country in North Carolina. And we've already seen NC State and ECU have to postpone games. We saw App State have to pause for a significant amount of time. We saw UNC have to pause for a pretty good amount of time. So this is probably going to happen more across the country.
Yeah.
And you're going to see more games moved.
Yeah, and this was an ECU call. I mean, Marshall's still scheduled to play on September 5th, right? So now it's like you just don't know. I mean, ECU could be all set to go for the 26th, and then, what if something happens with UCF that ECU can't control? So, again, like Ellerby keeps saying it, I agree, just play one game. Let's just get one under the belt and see what happens. There's a FCS game coming up this Saturday. I keep going back to Austin Peay and Central Arkansas. There are FBS games scheduled for next Thursday night. And then, of course, some games on September 5th as well, including Marshall. So it's just kind of up in the air right now. Everybody's trying to take care of their own business, Igoe, but kind of like contact tracing. You can do your best, control everything you can control, and still somehow kind of be punished for it, which is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and, I think everybody that's made it to this point in college football is pretty determined to play. I don't think a postponement or a cancellation of one game is going to make everybody quit and run away. You still have these people on social media who are saying, well, there was never going to be any college football this fall. There's not going to be any college football this fall. And I tweeted earlier about the open dates that ECU and Marshall don't have in common. And one person responded and said, pretty soon they'll have 12 open dates in common. Referencing that the season will be canceled and everything. And to me, we're 2 days away from an FCS game being played.
Yeah.
A week away from Southern Miss playing South Alabama. I think the season is definitely going to start. It's just a matter of, how many postponements, cancellations does there have to be for everybody to just mutually agree to shut down? So, I don't know. I feel like people are pretty determined to play and just realizing that it's going to be chaos. And that you're going to have games moved around and canceled and postponed on short notice. And, ECU and Marshall might not have an open date now, but let's say, Marshall was set to play Florida Atlantic. And on Monday of that game week, Florida Atlantic can't play, but Marshall can. ECU has a bye week. Do they link up 5 days ahead and say, hey, let's play?
We've already done the prep work, right? We did it a month ago or so.
I think it's the reality.
I get people being negative about it because when I see that, like when Major League Baseball, that first week, that second week, I go and like three series were postponed. You start to get that negative feeling like, oh crap, they're holding this together by duct tape right now, and it's falling apart, and everything's falling apart. But then games still go on. I'm hoping that kind of can be the case with college football, that if there is an issue with a couple of games on a Saturday, that doesn't have an impact on all the 12, 14 other games that are going on a Saturday.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, but I still think if the SEC and the ACC play, everybody else is just going to follow and do their best to get in some semblance of season. And
the SEC, by the way, Stephen, they announced today that they're playing volleyball and soccer this fall. I feel like if they're doing that, they're certainly playing football, right?
Oh, 100%. They're determined to play, and I think most people realize that the odds of getting in your entire schedule is probably slim. Because like we just talked about, it's not just your own team; it's the other team that you can't control at all. First of all, you can't. A lot of it's luck. You can't really control it whatsoever. But even if you do everything right and you've only got, 2 pending cases that are isolated going into game week, if the other team has any sort of breakout, that game could be canceled on short notice. So I think you're just going to have situations where games are canceled and postponed, and that's just what you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to get through a season where you might have 10 games scheduled, but you only end up playing 6 or 7. And to me, that's better than not playing at all or trying to play in the spring where likely you're going to be facing the same type of issue and you're just kicking the can down the road. So to me, I think it's worth, putting up with some of the nonsense. And also, Gilbert was pretty optimistic today that they would have some sort of fans in the stands this fall, or at least they're preparing to. So at least there's some revenue to be made there if they can find a way to play enough games and get at least a couple thousand fans in the stands.
That's interesting, Stephen, and I don't know. I still, in the back of my mind, wonder about this postponement for Marshall. Is it because Jon Gilbert has talked about how costly it will be to play football without fans in the stands and to not have that revenue. So I know it's a safety deal first with the 30 cases that he talked about, but I wonder if any of it is let's not play on the 12th. Let's play further down the road where we're more confident that possibly we could have fans in the stands. I don't know. Maybe there's nothing to that, but something I keep going back to.
I won't completely rule it out. I mean, he definitely said it was more of a medical safety issue.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't expect him to come out and say, hey, we're moving the game back to an undetermined date so we can make sure we have some fans in. So, yeah. But, I mean, maybe not a reason why it was made, but perhaps a silver lining of the game being postponed because later in the year maybe you can get more fans in, and maybe with the later start you can watch the NFL and see, you can watch early college football and you can watch the NFL, see how those teams are doing it with 15,000 people spread out in a 60,000 seat stadium or whatever, and then adjust from there. So I think I was somewhat optimistic based on his answers. I have to go back and listen to exactly what he was saying. There was a lot of stuff being said in this press conference, but he seemed pretty optimistic that they'll be able to have some sort of fans, or that they anticipate fans at games this fall.
It's kind of awkward talking about what Jon Gilbert says, looking at Jon Gilbert through the glass as he has walked inside the Pirate Radio studios. We will talk to him coming up at 5 o'clock as he'll join Troy D and I for the third hour on the show. Stephen, what is it going to look like Saturday night and next Thursday in these football games? You look at what, the NBA has these now expanded benches that go back a few rows. So that looks different. In baseball, they have put some of the players in the stands and kind of spread out their dugout a little bit, which really, when you think about it, if everybody's testing and everything, then why can't everybody that's test negative be right beside each other? I don't really understand that. But what is it going to look like on a football sideline? Like, there's a line, there's 2 lines, right, where you have to stay in between on the sidelines. Are they going to expand it like the whole 100 yards, or what do you think they're going to do about that?
Yeah, from my understanding, they're supposed to expand the sideline. Previously, I think it was, right outside of midfield, maybe to the 30s, but I think it's supposed to go to either the 20s to the 20 or the 10 to the 10.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the conference. I don't know the exact ruling there, but I do know the sideline is supposed to be expanded. And of course, you're going to have less photographers, less videographers, less media in general, less people on the sidelines. So you should have plenty of room.
Yeah.
Now there are some stadiums that have pretty tight sidelines, especially in the NFL. But I think most college stadiums, at least a good majority of them, have pretty expansive sidelines. So like a sideline like ECU, they've got pretty good amount of room, so they should be able to spread guys out. I don't know about these FCS schools. I've never been to Southern Miss, so when they play next Thursday, I'm not sure what it'll look like, but they should be able to spread them out. And maybe it's also a situation where, usually in home games, you dress 100-plus players, but you don't dress your entire team, all the walk-ons, et cetera. You just dress your essential guys who normally go to a road game. Which,
by the way, I think it's all kind of dumb anyway, because after an interception, the team is going to huddle up and hug each other and tackle each other. They're going to be tackling the other team. The thing about the NFL no jersey exchange is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You just tackled a guy for 2-3 hours, and now you can't give them your jersey off your back. I don't know. So, I get the no photographers and no extra people on the sidelines. I think that's a good idea. Don't welcome in other people to the team that's only been around each other. But the fact that you're separating guys that during the game you're going to be on top of and in the locker room and everything is, I don't know, kind of dumb, but whatever.
No, I'm with you. Some of the stuff is backward or just seems to not make a big difference.
No common sense, in some of it, right?
You look at the MLB game the other day. They're not supposed to high five, spit, all that stuff. Well, when Lucas Giolito throws a no hitter, are his teammates not supposed to come mob him? On the pitcher's mound? Of course they're going to. So, but I definitely think in football it makes even less sense because you sit there and you're hitting a guy for 75, 80 plays, and then you can't.
Don't shake his hand after the game, though. Don't go near him after the game. Makes no sense. Steven, good stuff, man. Busy day. What all you got coming up on Hoist the Colors? A lot to recap from this Thursday, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course, a lot of reaction from our media availability with Jon Gilbert and Mike Houston. We'll have that up on Hoist the Colors. They were pretty candid about a lot of stuff, pretty straightforward, so a lot of good stuff there. And then, as always, we've got recruiting content. I had 3 storylines to follow with ECU's 2021 recruiting class posted today, and then also did a projection of what East Carolina's starting defense could look like whenever the Pirates do open their season.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for joining us, Stephen. Also, thanks for setting up an interview with Brandon Sneed, who we were supposed to talk to today about his biography on Lincoln Riley. We obviously, with the breaking news, we wanted to cover all that today, but we're going to try to talk to Brandon on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, we're scheduled to reconnect with Brandon on Tuesday. Him and his party were good about rescheduling. And,
great.
They're involved in media, so they understand how it works when you get breaking news.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. All right, sounds good, Steven. Have a good weekend, bud. We'll see you on Tuesday.
See you, man.
There is Stephen Igoe, Hoist the Colors, joining us on the Fixed NC Live line on a Thursday edition of Pirate Radio Live. 2 hours in the books. We've talked a lot about Jon Gilbert. We will talk to Jon Gilbert when we return for hour number 3 of today's show. The AD at ECU going to join Troy D and I inside the Pirate Radio studios. Got that, got the booty bag, and a whole lot more. Tune in to hour 3. It starts right after this.
In studio with Mike Mullis from Fixed NC. And Mike, you guys have a disinfecting service for homes and businesses.
Yes, we have a 2-step process that includes disinfecting and also provides 30 days of protection to all surfaces treated. We're doing this for 10 cents a square foot in businesses and $10 a room in your home.
Mike, how can folks get in touch with you?
Call me directly at my cell, 252-999-0001. Again, 3 9s, 3 zeros, and a 1. Or fixednc.com.
You know texting while driving is dangerous. That's not new information. Yet most people admit to doing it anyway. Drivers are 23 times more likely to be involved in a car accident while texting. Know the facts and wait to text. The danger is real and it applies to you. Auto Owners Insurance. The no problem people. Information provided by Virginia Tech Transportation Institute.
This is Jeff Gibson with Town Insurance in Greenville. Call me today at 756-8300. Go Pirates!
We're midway through bath time, and 2 medium, 2-topping Domino's pizzas for $5.99 each have begun their drive to the Smith's front door. That's a GPS-enabled custom delivery alert, folks. The newest improvement to the Domino's tracker, saying Domino's will be there in 2 minutes. They're calling it audible. Bath time's now rinse time. They've got 1 kid dry, 2 kids dry. The pizzas are here. They made it to the door. The kids are clean enough. The new Domino's tracker with GPS worked again. 2-item minimum. Pan pizza will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary.
UBE and PirateWear.com are proud to offer the Pirate Nation its largest inventory ever. Brand new Adidas is arriving daily, along with Under Armour, Columbia, and Russell Athletic. UBE is loaded with cargo, and new items are being added daily to PirateWear.com. Be sure to check out our children's store, The Crow's Nest, for all of your young pirates. UBE and PirateWear.com, an ECU tradition for 50 years. Go Pirates!
It's almost quitting time, but your family's hunger is gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could drop a big bow box on it. Because whether you need an 8, 12, or 20 piece with biscuits, fixins, and tea, you can clock out and spend some quality time with a delicious dinner. Now when it comes to sneaking a biscuit on the drive home, that's all you. Bojangles, it's bow time.
Let me tell you a thing or two about the people who don't compromise. For starters, they love a nice, cold Pepsi Zero Sugar. Why? Because it's delicious, it's refreshing, and it has zero sugar. How's that for not compromising? They're the sort of person that likes surf with their turf. Because who decided beef shouldn't have a buddy? And a drink with their feast? Yeah, they have a Pepsi Zero Sugar. The person who doesn't compromise loves a good golden doodle. All the golden retriever goodness with just a hint of doodle. No compromises there. Oh, and when they're bringing said golden doodle for a walk, they bring a Pepsi Zero Sugar. They're the kind of person jorts were made for. 50% jeans, 50% shorts, 100% the most comfortable thing that's ever graced your wardrobe. Not compromising never looked so good. So crack open a Pepsi Zero Sugar and taste what it's like to have it all. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Zero sugar done right. That's what I like.
Have you ever seen those exotic aquariums like the guys do in Las Vegas on television? You ever thought about having one of these aquariums in your business? It's more affordable than you think. This is Hal Pruitt with rentafishtank.com. We can make having an aquarium in your business turnkey with no work, cleaning, or hassles for you. Rentafishtank.com creates a relaxing atmosphere and keeps children occupied. Rentafishtank.com already services many dental, pediatric, and doctor offices, plus hospitals and senior living centers. Check us out at rentafishtank.com.
This is Pirate Radio, WGHB Farmville, 1250 and 92.7 FM Greenville, WDLX Washington, 930 and 104.1 FM Washington. You're listening to Hour 3 of Pirate Radio Live. This hour of PRL is brought to you by Bud Light, reminding Pirate fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. Proudly distributed by Carolina Eagle Distributing since 1989. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. Domino's of Greenville has 3 locations to take care of you. Take advantage of the week-long carry-out deal of all 3 toppings for only $7.99. Order online today at Domino's.com. Now let's head back in to Pirate Radio Live. Here's your host, Clip Brock.
All right, Hour 3 of Pirate Radio Live. Clip Brock here. Troy D here inside the Pirate Radio studios. Just another day at the office, Troy.
Yeah, good to see you again, Clip. It's
a busy day.
I said yesterday. I do believe I said yesterday. Who knows what we could be talking about in 24 hours?
Yeah, thanks.
And how things could change.
And
here we are. Fast. Yeah, it's just the day and age we're living in.
Jon Gilbert was just on a Zoom, and then he has zoomed over here to the Pirate Radio studios. The AD at ECU, John, great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
We have a few things to talk about with you coming up on this hour of Pirate Radio Live. In case you don't know, ECU Marshall, the September 12th game has been postponed. No makeup date announced as of right now, so ECU scheduled to play their season opener on Saturday, September 26th against UCF. We'll talk about the decision that was made today, what the future of fall football looks like at East Carolina, and everything in between. Troy D, myself, Jon Gilbert here, hour number 3 of Pirate Radio Live. We'll roll on after this.
Back to school is here, and the Auto Store Group is committed to helping our customers drive the best quality pre-owned vehicles and is committed to caring about our kids and our community. This is Mary from the Auto Store Group, and right now, during our Backpack to School event, every time we sell a vehicle, we will be making a $50 donation to any local school that the customer chooses. The Auto Store Group, 3 locations, over 150 vehicles online at theautostoregroup.com, and most importantly, proud members of the Eastern North Carolina community for over 38 years.
Your CBD store in Greenville has the highest quality CBD products in the country. Your CBD store is the first and only brand that carries USDA certified organic products such as gummies, honey sticks, and high absorption water-soluble liquids, which are all made in the United States. They even offer products for your pet. The educated staff will help you answer any questions, and you can stop in anytime to get a free sample. Your CBD store, locally owned and operated, open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, right beside Duck Donuts in Greenville.
Let's turn a trip to the branch into a tap on your phone. Let's hit pause on a lost debit card without hitting pause on life. That's how First National Bank is redefining convenience. With a top-rated mobile app that puts more security and control at your fingertips, and friendly people to help you succeed right by your side. Let's get started at fnb-online.com or your local First National Bank. FNB member FDIC.
Did you know you can help prevent natural gas emergencies? Whether you're planting a tree, putting up a fence, landscaping, or starting an excavation project, Greenville Utilities strongly encourages you to follow the law and call NC 811. Even minor contact with the natural gas pipeline could cause a natural gas emergency. Before digging or excavation of any kind, North Carolina law requires you call NC 811. Please call at least 3 full working days in advance so all utility lines can be professionally marked prior to digging. Stay safe, avoid damages, and call 811 before you dig.
How much does the word reliable mean? Sure, all businesses describe themselves as reliable, and we certainly wouldn't expect any business to be unreliable, but when you take a word like reliable and make it your way of life, the entire core of your business, it tends to mean a little more. And it's something you have to show people, not tell them. At Delcor, we show it by being there the same day you call. We show it by simply doing outstanding work with exceptional products, a family-oriented work ethic, and genuine caring for all of our neighbors throughout Eastern NC, because in a time of need, we know the first and the only thing you need is someone you can count on. That's why we only use equipment you can count on too, like a train comfort system. It's hard to stop a train. Delcor can have a new train comfort system installed in no time, or we can provide an AC tune-up to make sure your system is performing well. So will your system keep you cool all summer? Find out. Call us. We're Delcor, the service professionals, reliable for over 4 decades. Visit DelcorInc.com today.
Know what I like most about my new phone from US Cellular?
I don't know.
That it was $700 off.
What? Switch to US Cellular and get $700 off the latest phones. US Cellular. Choose fair.
Promotional pricing requires an unlimited everyday or even better plan. New line port-in credit approval qualified smartphone purchase and comes via monthly bill credit on a 30-month retail installment contract. Taxes, fees, and additional restrictions apply.
Does the idea of going to your local U.S. Cellular store make you feel a bit uncomfortable? Tired of the hassle of waiting and wearing a mask? Let Toby Williams and his outside sales team take away that worry. They will come right to your home or office and drop your phone off on the porch or at the front desk for you. Saving you time and worry is what the team at Cellular Warehouse is all about. Call Toby today at 252-799-7051 and let them help you with all of your wireless needs. Cellular Warehouse, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent.
This is ECU Assistant Football Coach Roy Tesh, and you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
Don't even think about it.
You're listening to Hour 3 of Pirate Radio Live. This hour of PRL is brought to you by Bud Light, reminding Pirate fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. Proudly distributed by Carolina Eagle Distributing since 1989. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. Eat healthy at Clean Eats. Sign up for a meal plan at cleaneats.com or stop in to eat at the cafe or grab a meal to go. Clean Eats is located on Red Banks Road and online at cleaneats.com. Now let's head back in to Pirate Radio Live. Here's your host, Clip Brock.
All right, thank you, Shirley Rhodes. Got intern Chandler Honeycutt manning the video production today. Great job, Chandler. Got Troy D. and ECU Athletics Director Jon Gilbert here in the Pirate Radio studios. Troy, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I don't know if it's a stat to consider, but this is the first Thursday that you have done a show live at 5 o'clock before ECU's first scheduled game. What I'm getting at is every Thursday, the day of the Pirate Radio party, you and Ellerby are over there making preparations, and it's a bit of a bummer of a day because we would be partying tonight if everything was normal.
Actually, normally, I probably would have interviewed or recorded an interview with Jon
Gilbert, correct.
That would be running right now. In
fact, you probably did that last year on the Thursday.
And, might be at the VIP party to kick things off with our sponsors. And I thought about that this morning when I saw the video from last year that was posted on our social media, which was awesome memories from last year. But kind of a little sad deal that that's the first, not the first casualty, but the first football casualty for us. The Pirate Radio football kickoff party is done. Maybe we can have an end of the year celebration. Who knows? Staying positive. But the kickoff party is not happening this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's kind of lame, but we are just three bros partying right now. So.
Well, we can call it we're live today, not Memorex.
That is true. That is correct.
Way to see the positive. And Jon Gilbert joining us from ECU Athletics. And John, let's first of all, man, it's been a day, but let's talk about when the football team can come back, first of all, because the football team is still on a pause. And I think some people have forgotten that. They haven't been practicing. They haven't been working out. They haven't been, and that's a big part of this postponement of the Marshall game, which was rescheduled for September 12th, which has now been postponed again to a date to be determined later, hopefully. Where are we with the team just being able to get back to practice?
Yeah, so we have not practiced in, I think today is day number 8 with that. And so after talking to our medical staff and getting guidance from them, they're actually started back today working out and conditioning. So I would anticipate sometime, I'm hoping early to mid next week. And Coach Houston mentioned it earlier in his in our joint media availability today. When you take 8 days off, you just don't go back out and start scrimmaging again. And so I don't think it'll be a complete start over, but it will be a very gradual process. Like I would anticipate the next 2 to 3 days will be strength conditioning, cardio conditioning, that sort of thing, acclimation to the heat again. Before we get back out.
I'm sure the start stop is really tough for a football team especially. But I was on the call with you guys today, and did I hear right? I think it was either you or Coach Houston said 30 folks have been tested. Is that 30 active cases within the program?
30 are either in isolation or quarantine.
Okay.
Total. So our
and
total
is that all players
30.
Or some of them staff or ancillary, like trainers, stuff like that?
Yeah, players, mostly players.
That's a big part of the reason for the pause.
Yes, and I think it's important, and I won't do War and Peace on this. We're going to do the
Cliff Note version?
The Cliff Note version.
Cliff Notes.
Let me tell you something. I love Cliff Notes when I grew up. If it wasn't for them, I don't know if I would have made it through high school.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Cliff Notes as well. Cliff Note version, if you test positive, you're out 10 days.
Yeah.
If you... almost a little worse if you're a direct contact, so more than 15 minutes, no mask, in a confined space, you're deemed a close contact. If you are a close contact, you are out 14 days and you do not get the test out of it. So even if...
Now, who sets those parameters?
It really is both CDC guidelines and the NCAA and our American Athletic Conference medical group give us the protocols that we have to adhere to. And so it's really tough. It'd be tough for me at my age, but it's really tough for these student athletes when you tell them, hey, your roommate's positive and you're deemed a close contact and you've got to quarantine for 14 days.
And you got to sit in a room by yourself basically for 14 days.
And they're going,
pretty much.
Man, I feel really good. No symptoms,
right.
no nothing.
So that 30 number includes people like that.
30 total is quarantine and isolation. So it does include that as well.
So it doesn't mean 30 positive
tests.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And I remember Coach Mike Houston saying if the season did get killed, it would be because of that. But if there's any silver lining in this, it's better to go ahead, I guess, and happen before the season than this happened in the middle of the season.
Well, when you look at Major League Baseball, you're seeing what not being in a complete bubble looks like.
Yep.
And look, a bubble's difficult. Even with the NBA, it's not. Those guys are struggling with being in a bubble, and so we're going to continue to manage it. I do believe we're going to play football this year. I'm still excited about that. I do think we'll have fans in Dowdy-Ficklen, although I would say it is going to be a process. And much like everything we've had to deal with, it's going to be week to week. We're going to follow the chancellor's lead. We're going to follow local health officials, state health officials, to make sure that we can have the type of environment we want. And so I really do see it playing out as a tiered approach once we get into playing games.
Well, and I talked to Ron Mitchelson, the chancellor, about that yesterday, and I think it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's, hey, let's take it week by week and see how it goes, because as the season progresses, things could get better, potentially, so you want to leave yourself an option with that. Now, the new scheduled start date is September 26th, is that right?
Correct. We moved the conference office, moved the Cincinnati game and the Central Florida game. Those were originally on Thursday nights. They moved them back to a traditional Saturday start day.
Best case scenario, if nothing changes from here, ECU will kick off the season September 26th. No chance it would go any earlier, correct?
No, would not go any earlier with Central Florida. I don't. We talked about this earlier about adding a game on the 19th. I don't want to do that right now. There are too many unknowns. I don't. We just paused the game. And we just said we've got 30 in quarantine isolation. I don't want to jump out there today and say, hey, we're adding a game on the 19th.
Sorry, Morgan Ahlers, your document you wanted me to pass along, we need to play on the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you did your job, Cliff.
Like I would love to play. I want to play on the 12th. But I also know that we've got to do what's right by our student athletes, our coaches in this community.
Yeah.
And right now, all the tea leaves are reading, we can't play at this time.
So we're down to a 9-game season as of right now. Now, that game with Marshall, if that was just a random game, it would be one thing. You know the history and the tradition between these two schools, the 50th anniversary of the tragic plane crash. This is a game I know ECU wants to play, and I've been in touch with people up with the Marshall folks, and they want to play badly. So both schools still are committed. The problem now becomes the jigsaw puzzle. Where do you find a piece that fits for both teams, that piece being a weekend that would work? I heard you mention on the Zoom call, maybe even let's say if ECU's not in a conference championship game and Marshall's not in a conference championship game, then all of a sudden maybe that December 5th date or whatever that first weekend in December could be a potential date for that game.
And we would be open to that. And so the discussion with Mike Hamrick today, who's been really good to work with at Marshall, was obviously we have that day if we can't find another day. And then I look at the schedule between all the schools. There's going to be disruptions, and I feel like and maybe this is wishful thinking on my part, but I feel like we are a little bit ahead of the curve because we've started school early. That we're seeing some of the socialization, off campus social contacts. I think it might be affecting us sooner than other schools.
Right.
And so there may be some other dates that become available during the schedule where we could pivot and pick up the Marshall game or someone else.
On that note, Troy moved their game from September 5th to December 5th just today.
Yeah.
So you did that. Troy did. And they pushed back the Sun Belt Championship. And Ellerby and I were talking earlier that, who knows what happens with the bowl games this year. There's a chance December could become wide open for extra games or moving conference championship dates.
That's true. A lot of flexibility. And the one thing we've all learned is to be flexible and expect the unexpected, right, John?
That's right. And I think the other piece on the scheduling, not rushing out, is It's really important we play that Central Florida game. I don't want to jeopardize that, and I'm not saying we won't add a game later in the year, but I'm not saying we will either. I want to leave all options on the table, and I want to be really deliberate about it. Had we gone in, a month ago and added 2 more games in, we wouldn't just be pushing back the Marshall game today. We'd be pushing back others. And so for me, it really made sense to kind of hold tight.
Ellerby brought up a good point earlier that the SEC came out and said our first game will be on the 26th of September. And that was, a month or so ago.
Yeah.
And if you notice that they're like the only conference that hasn't had a schedule change. Like they're kind of just sitting pretty. Now things could change once we get closer to that date, but that's their kickoff to the season, and it's going to be ECU's kickoff to the season as well. Gives you a little more time.
Yeah, John, the decision by the university to go to online classes, at least for all undergraduates, last week. I think it started this week officially. Is that, I started thinking about that. Is that kind of a good thing, maybe for ECU football? The fact that you can't have a bubble for the football team like they've been able to do in some other leagues and sports. But in essence, if the students aren't interacting in classrooms, is it less opportunity for football players to come in contact and test positive, or do you think it won't matter?
Well, I don't think it will matter. Like, obviously, if I had my druthers, I want students on campus and in class and the normal interactions with the professor. That's really important. And I think, obviously, we can do it online because we've shown that from last semester. But I think the traditional method is preferred. Like, talking to our student athletes, they all want to be in a classroom. And so we're all hopeful that eventually we get back to that. But I go back to the bubble. There really isn't a bubble. And even like this summer, we had pretty much just football, men's and women's basketball in Greenville, no other students, and they leave campus and they go eat, or they go to a grocery store, they do something, they're out of the bubble and they've come into contact. And so the bubble is this mythical, unattainable place that it's like never land.
It's kind of like the transfer portal. No one's ever really seen it, but somehow it exists.
It does exist. Yes.
John wanted to talk about the new date, which is September 26th. That does take the pressure off, because originally it was going to be September 12th. It was going to be 2 weekends from Saturday. Right. It was going to be kickoff. As you know, there's so much you can't control with this that's above all of our heads. That's whether it's state or federal or different things that are coming down. We're in a phase 2 right now with the state. For fans to even be able to be in attendance, the state itself would have to move into phase 3. Since the university is part of the UNC system, which is regulated by the state, they're not going to go against what the regulations are at the time, just like all the other government entities are going to follow the guidelines that are coming out of Raleigh. That decision was officially going to be decided, or at least whether it was going to change or stay the same, a day before kickoff.
Right.
Originally, it was going to be September 11th. Now you've got time. But if it doesn't go to phase 3, even by the 26th, it really it doesn't matter how many fans you want in the stands. It really prevents that from happening, doesn't it?
Correct.
So you can have all the plans in the world, but it don't matter if they don't change the state phasing, or whatever you want to call it, regulations, or executive order, or whatever the term is you want to use. If that doesn't change, it's all for naught.
Correct. And it's really important. Like, we've got a really good relationship with Dr. Silvernail. Spent a little bit of time with him on the phone yesterday before we even started talking about moving the game, talking about what attendance would look like and putting a plan in place for that. And so certainly we're going to follow the direction of the chancellor and state and local health officials, but it will, I do think it's going to go in phases. That for this game we're going to allow X to happen, and we'll get to the next game and see if Y can happen depending on where the state is.
You mentioned earlier that you think we'll see a scenario where there will be some number of fans permitted. Is that confidence coming from you or confidence from somebody telling you something? Like, where does that confidence that we could possibly have a certain number of fans in 2020 come from?
Well, I am confident that we'll be able to have people in our stadium for a game this year. I don't know what that number is. So I think when people say, you see departments say, we're going to have 20% at our game, it is such a random grasp in the air. They really don't know what their number is, and so I've been so hesitant to say we're going to have this percentage in, because the reality is I don't know. But I'm going to keep talking to the medical people and make sure we're articulating a plan of, number one, here's the plan for our student athletes. Testing twice a week, creating a bubble on the field. Nobody will be on the field that hasn't been tested or been a part of the team group. Chain crew, all those people are going to be tested. We're going to do these protocols. If we're allowed to have people in the stands, here's how we would do that, and here's the group we want to start with. So, certainly the parents of our student athletes are a really important group. We want to make sure if we have anybody in, we can accommodate them, and then it would start to progress upwards depending on what's allowed by those health officials.
I talked to Dr. Silvernail yesterday, and for folks that don't know, he's the Pitt County Health Director. You guys invited him on campus last Friday, I believe, for a walkthrough, and I talked to him and the chancellor about it. I guess, and he said it was there as an invited guest and was trying to give you guys some guidance if things are where you're able to have people in the stadium, things he could recommend and different suggestions. Also showed him Town Bank Tower, which he hadn't seen, which is a private facility.
Yeah.
So there is some discussion even if fans aren't allowed the stands, would they be allowed in the suites if you're a suite holder, and the club level, which is a private area, because that sometimes falls under different guidelines.
Right. Well, certainly we're looking at our stadium in whole, not in part. And so we do, when we talk about it, we talk about what does the seating in the open areas look like, what does the seating in individual skyboxes look like, and then what does it look like in club levels. And so, again, back on the guidelines, I think right now you can't have a mass gathering over 25 people.
Yeah.
So that would, you could go by 25 people
pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I would ask, it's such a hypothetical, but if they, what you do with students, but if they don't allow more people in, the students don't get a seat just like no one else gets a seat. But if they do allow, let's say, 25% capacity, how do you handle the students that would want to go?
We actually have talked about that, and the students, we want to continue whenever we do get direction on what a percentage or what fans would look like. Certainly there is a student component to that that's really important. I really believe this. The atmosphere at our athletic events start with our student section. When they're going really well, it makes for a really good atmosphere. The difficulty with students is, if you're a family of four and you come in and we've allocated 4 tickets to you, your dean family, you can sit next to each other. Students are coming in as individuals, so we might have to put, X's on the seats where they're standing 6 feet apart from one another. Not the normal student experience at a game, but we'd want to make them a part of it.
Yeah. Well, Kurt's asking online. He's already looking ahead towards basketball. Now, we're so, neck deep in just trying to figure out football right now. I haven't even thought about basketball. But what about basketball?
There is some news.
And for that matter, baseball, because it sure would be a shame to lose 2 seasons in a row of baseball. So what happens with basketball? And then we can take a look at baseball. But Clip, hit us with the neus first.
Well, John Rothstein.
Unless it's bad news, and then let Shirley handle it.
I think it's positive news. I'll take this one, Shirley. You're the bad news person. John Rothstein from CBS tweeted out 8 minutes ago Sources say November 25th and December 4th have emerged as the two likeliest start dates to begin the basketball season. So that would be basketball in 2020. So is that, you're right, Troy. It's on the radar, but it's kind of low right now until we get football. But how much of those discussions are going on?
Well, we are talking about it. And I think if you look at the academic calendar at a lot of institutions, not everyone, but there are a majority of institutions that are going to end around Thanksgiving. And then people are going to go home outside of your basketball student athletes and maybe a few others. And so I do think there's going to be an opportunity to play some games. Now, again, it's all going to fall back on what does the capacity look like for each individual state. And so we'll have to adhere to that. But, there's going to be a lot of factors, like when you look at scores table, fans on the floor.
Let me ask you this.
It's going to be an inconvenient.
If they say you can play football games but no fans in the stands, ECU will still play.
Correct.
If they have the same parameters for college basketball, at least here, if they say you can play college basketball but no fans in the stands, would you play?
Yes, we would.
All right. So it's a go as far as the team is concerned, as long as they can.
Yeah, I think particularly with that schedule. So back to the academic calendar, if we start the week of Thanksgiving or right after, everyone else has broken for winter break. And a lot of schools are resuming the Tuesday after Martin Luther King. I don't know that date off the top of my head, but let's call it January 17th. There are quite a few weeks in that time period where you could play a significant number of games. And again,
so there could be some schedule altering to basketball, just like there is with football.
Yes. Now your kids still aren't in a bubble, but you are definitely limiting their exposure with where people are on a college campus.
And I don't claim to speak for the Pirate Nation, but I'll speak for myself and saying if the option was at least we get football and basketball in, and if the give was we didn't have fans, I know that's not what you want, because the fans also create revenue for the program, but I take that versus nothing, versus not having a football season or basketball season. If we could at least play games, something is better than nothing, in my opinion.
Well, like I talk and see our student athletes daily, and they want to play. And I think as adults and decision makers, we have to be mindful of, like, I understand they want to play. And like if I did a poll of our football team and said, hey, who wants to play on September 12th against Marshall? Every one of them would have raised their hand.
Yeah.
But I knew based on all the mitigating factors that playing at this time is not the right decision. And so sometimes you have to make a decision like that. And so I do think our student athletes do want to play, do want to compete, but the chancellor and I both are in 100% alignment of what we're doing athletically. We're going to do it based on alignment with the institution and make sure that we're doing right by these student athletes and coaches. But I think we can do it as it relates to basketball. The TV component is important. People would still be able to watch it from that perspective. We all want to get back to normal as quickly as possible.
We'll get Meador and Pierce to pump in some chants and crowd noise like they're doing in the bubble.
Would you do cutouts?
Well, we would be open to cutouts. I think cutouts would be good. We'd have to strategically place those.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I think, man, that could be cool, or I don't know if it drives me crazy. I'm not sure. Depends on the day.
we would just have to do things like make sure the Scott Shook cutout gets a front row seat, because if you put it in row 2 or 3, you might not be able to see it as much.
Oh, I think you'd still be able to see him.
Let's get a break in. Jon Gilbert here with us on Pirate Radio Live. We will.
Scott's got a pretty big head last time I saw it.
Take a time out. As we do, Shirley, let's open up the Pirate Radio booty bag.
Booty, booty,
I love having a serious conversation.
Booty everywhere.
Breaks up the monotony a little bit.
Have you had a chance to participate in the booty bag yet.
I have not, but I do like the name.
Thank you.
Very catchy.
Shirley Rhodes gets
What's
credit
in the
for that
booty bag?
We got lunch for 2 to tiebreakers today, Troy D.
Fantastic.
I know you're a fan.
I am.
And,
I saw Bram today.
A lot of great options to choose from on that menu. 317-1250. We'll do caller 12. If you have not won this month, you are eligible to win. 317-1250. We're back with more after this.
Here today with Gazelle, also known as Brad Bagley to his friends and family. Why F3?
Well, I've been doing F3 for 5 years now, and it's just become part of my routine. I started out thinking that I was in shape, didn't realize how out of shape I was until I came out here, and now these guys are just good friends, and I can't imagine life without them now.
One letter, one number, F3. Fitness, fellowship, and faith. All workouts are free of charge and open to all men. Leave no man behind, but leave no man where you find him. Learn more today at F3ENC.com.
Hey Pirate Nation, this is Tom Brown from Brown & Wood Cadillac. We've been serving the Pirate Nation in Eastern North Carolina for 83 years. We have 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 showrooms, and 1 goal to make sure you leave a happy customer.
This month at Brown & Wood, save over $15,000 off on all new 2020 Cadillac Escalades. Remember, Brown & Wood is the home for the lifetime powertrain warranty for all makes and models.
We're located on Greenville Boulevard next to the Convention Center, or shop us online at brownandwoodauto.com.
Hey Pitt County Schools families, the month of August is here and school will certainly be different this year. If you are starting school 100% virtually or are attending school face-to-face on alternating weeks, we are looking forward to resuming the purpose of our system, and that's the education of the children in Pitt County in an excellent and a safe manner. For videos with our leaders, FAQs, and so much more information to answer your questions, visit our Road to Reopening page on our website at pittschools.org or keep up with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Remember, we'll face this upcoming school year together because we are Pitt County Schools Strong.
This is Stephen Igoe, publisher of HoistTheColors.net. Recruiting is the lifeblood of any college sports program, and no one devotes more coverage to the future of ECU athletics than Hoist the Colors. Want to know who's going to be the next Holton Ahlers or Jaden Gardner? We've got all the inside scoop on the Pirates' most talented recruits and top targets 24/7. Sign up now and get your first month of coverage for a single $1. HoistTheColors.net, the most reliable reporting on ECU athletics.
Are your workouts more fun than this? Well, if they are, then I want to sign you to an endorsement deal with Michelob Ultra. I'm looking for anyone and everyone who makes working out a blast. If that's you, head to TeamUltra.com for a chance to score awesome perks like Team Ultra gear and more. That's TeamUltra.com to enter.
No purchase necessary. Open U.S. residents 21 plus. See official rules at TeamUltra.com. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Bostic Sugg Furniture wants to know, how'd you sleep last night? If you're like thousands, the answer is probably not very well. You're tired, stressed, your job suffers, and worse, your health suffers. Get better sleep on a Restonic mattress, a Consumer's Digest Award winner 13 years running. Restonic Queen mattresses start as low as $4.99. Restonic two-sided Queen mattresses from only $6.99. If you're ready to wake up to a whole new you, we have a Restonic mattress waiting for you, exclusively at Bostic Sugg Furniture.
CPW's is currently open 7 days a week, with the bar opening daily at 3 p.m. for cocktails and appetizers, and for dinner starting at 4 p.m. Every Monday and Tuesday at CPW's, receive a free appetizer of your choice when you purchase 2 dinner entrees. The dining room is also available during lunch hours and weekends for private dining, meetings, and events. CPW's also offers drop-off caterings for luncheons, employee appreciation events, weddings, showers, and reunion dinners. CPW's is now offering our streamlined dining room menu of classics and favorites. If there's a legacy menu item that you miss, just ask and we'll do our best to prepare it for you. And for carryout, try easy online ordering at cpws.biz and save 10% off your order just for trying it out. Come see what we're all about. CPW's, corner of Stantonsburg Road and Arlington Boulevard in the Stanton Square Shopping Center, Greenville.
Pirate Radio.
We are not coming together to just be average. We want to build a program that will year in and year out compete for the American Athletic Conference Championship and compete nationally against any and everybody.
The voice of the Pirate Nation. You're listening to Hour 3 of Pirate Radio Live. This hour of PRL is brought to you by Bud Light, reminding Pirate fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. Proudly distributed by Carolina Eagle Distributing since 1989. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. Taking a look at your stock market report for today. The Dow was up 160 points and finished at 28,492. The NASDAQ is down 39 at 11,625. And the S&P was up 5 points today and closed out at 3,484. That's your Wells Fargo Advisors financial report. For a personal look into investing, call Wells Fargo Advisors today at 756-6900 in Greenville. Wells Fargo Advisors, LLC, member SIPC. And Clip, as we head back into Pirate Radio Live, I do have a fan attendance update. Clemson has just announced that they will operate at a 23% capacity, so they are allowing about 19,000 fans for their home games coming up this fall.
All right, another fan update. Good stuff, Shirley Rhodes.
I'd be curious too. And John, this for Clemson, it's a bigger issue. How they prioritize that, because then all of a sudden it becomes a tight tick. Because Clemson normally gets 80,000, 90,000 a game. How do they tell now there'll be a certain percentage of people that don't want to go, so you filter them out first. But then let's say you've got 40,000 people that want to go. How do you pick out what was it, Shirley? How many?
19,000.
How do you pick the 19?
Well, certainly you've it's easy to say, well, they're going to go by their priority order, but and I'm not speaking to Clemson per se, but as we would look at that, we're going to look at parents of our immediate family of our student athletes. We're going to look at our donor ranking. We're going to look at students. We're going to look at the visiting team. People forget about them, but if when we play Marshall, I don't know the exact number, but it's probably between 400 and 500 tickets that they're supposed to get contractually.
Right.
So that just takes out another percentage. So when you look at that number from Clemson, there are a lot of factors that attribute to how you land and who gets them.
Speaking of contracts, ECU was scheduled to play South Carolina in Columbia.
Yeah.
That game was basically canceled by South Carolina. That was going to be close to $1 million payday for ECU, or was it?
Not $1 million payday. It was part of a home and home, and I think we were exchanging. Normally, when you do a home and home contract, you exchange an amount of money to cover your expenses. So I'm gonna say, again, I'm ballparking here, probably in the 200 to 250 range. And what we've discussed with them is pushing the game to a later year. Our schedule really is pretty full. Not canceling, but say, hey, we'll come back in this year.
I got you.
It's important.
So that's not as financially devastating for ECU as maybe first thought.
We hit a really good year for this to happen. Now, the financial ramifications are still dire, so I'm not saying that, man, we dodged a bullet on this one. No, it's still going to be devastating financially. But if we did not have a guarantee buy game that we were getting a large check for. And so from a budget standpoint, we're fortunate in that regard.
And some of these games, if you don't go to South Carolina, it wasn't going to be a big payday because of the home and home agreement. You save on those expenses.
That's exactly right.
So you're not spending as much either.
Correct.
Which at least during the spring, there was a lot of spring sports that aren't necessarily money makers, but you got to send everywhere that ended up not having to spend that money.
Yeah, well, none are money makers in that regard, and so for us to not play and not spend, we were able to save a considerable amount of money.
Better to lose the South Carolina game than the Michigan game?
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
if this were 2023 and we missed the Michigan game, I'd be really tight.
And there may not be a makeup date for that either, because the way they do their schedules.
Correct.
And that's the crazy thing about college football, John. Schedules are made out so far in advance, yet we've seen this year. Anything can be changed at any time.
Yeah. There's been games added. I don't know if there was one today, but literally the last 3 weeks, games have been added for this year, like for next month to be played.
There's a guy that used to do this for ESPN. His name's Dave Brown, and I don't know that I talk to him once a day, but but I talk to him often, and he is the guru of scheduling, and he's broken away from ESPN and runs his own company now called Gridiron that does scheduling that everybody uses and talks to. And so I am on Gridiron daily looking at where our schedule is, what what the future looks like and who's looking for games. He's very resourceful in that regard. I talked to him probably 3 times today going, wow, can this team move here? He's really dialed in that regard.
It's like a big puzzle.
It's a puzzle.
Ways. Yeah.
BYU put their 2020 schedule together in like a week. They just added like a game a day because they had so many drop off with the Pac-12 and Mountain West.
And the Big Ten, like when everybody starts dropping like that, that's why I think when we do start playing, our games are going to get picked up on really good networks because of the lack of national inventory.
The 5th, the first kind of Saturday of FBS college football, the AAC will get a 4 o'clock and I think an 8 o'clock time slot on ESPN with Memphis and another SMU. So like back-to-back American games on the mothership, as they call it.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is the Americans' chance to be part of the Power Three, the SEC, ACC, and the AAC.
We'll take it.
But it is a good opportunity for the American, which could use the exposure. And if the Big Ten and the Pac-12 are going to give up their slots, that's a lot of inventory that these networks still need, especially ESPN, that the American could benefit from.
Most certainly will benefit from it. And it's a great opportunity for us.
And the first AP Top 25 poll came out, which included every team for some reason, even though they're not playing. Shirley did say that moving forward, it's only going to include the teams that are playing, but you already had 2 American teams in there with UCF and Cincinnati, with probably others knocking on the door. But once that poll is only teams playing, I mean, you could have 5, 6, 7 teams from the AAC in that poll.
Yeah, you really could. It's going to be interesting to watch how this all progresses, and I'm excited. I'm ready for some football.
How is Coach Houston handling this? Because I know it's extremely frustrating, just from a mental aspect, just as a personal aspect. How, I've had a few conversations with him, and I can sense the frustration, but you talk to him on a daily basis. How is he managing this?
Well, not any different than our student athletes. It's a roller coaster. You get, emotionally invested in the season and dialed in, and then, hey, we're going to play these games, and now we're not. We're going to start. It is it's mentally taxing, but it's something that they've been really good with. Okay, we're gonna reflect on this for a couple hours, and then we're gonna flush it and move on. And so, knowing him like I do, he probably had the assistants immediately looking at Central Florida tape, because that's our next game, and know that we'll need to start preparing.
Troy, it's interesting you asked that. I was thinking during the break about asking how's Jon Gilbert doing with everything, because John, you're a very cool customer. You got a great, but like, are you hiding the stress, like inside?
Are you breaking down when you get home at
night? Are you freaking out? Are you okay?
Because I'm at the point where I'm like, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, well, what crazy thing's going to happen today? And then something crazy happens, and I'm just like, well, I expected that. Like now, like none of this stuff shocks me anymore. Like it used to be. Like I go back to March, which feels like 3 years ago, by the way, when the NCAA tournament got canceled, and I was stunned. I'm like, there's no way they'll cancel the NCAA tournament, the March Madness. I go from that point to go, oh, anything can happen now. Like now, it's going to take a lot to shock me.
Yeah, it is. It's been tough. I sent a text to 2 staff members this morning. We were on a little thread, and I said, calm seas does not make for a season captain. All that we're going through right now is going to be chapter 13 in your memoir. And while it is difficult and it is stressful and a little bit of maddening in that I do come in each morning, and I'm pretty detailed on my list and what I need to focus on, and that list really doesn't matter. It is whatever the crisis of the day is. It
sounds like preparing for a live radio show, right?
Yeah,
we have an outline, and then by 2:59, it's all screwed up.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, exercising, reading, doing all those things to manage it. But I'm not any different than our players or our coaches or our staff. I mean, and I think the most difficult thing for this in the athletic world, like, look, our businesses, this community, they're all affected. Mm-hmm. So, I hate this for the Greenville community because I know how important ECU is as an institution and athletics is for this community. Not any different for us, but I know that we're going to get through it eventually.
I saw this analogy online, and I thought it was a good one. Someone said, we're all in the same boat. They said, no, we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. Everyone's in different boats. Some boats are better than others, but we're all in the same storm, and we're affected by the storm. Some people's boat is okay. Some people's boat is falling to pieces. And that's a lot like, could be their livelihood, could be their family, could be their jobs, their situation. And I think this is a storm that we are in. And the storm will subside at some point. We just don't know when right now, which nobody likes uncertainty, but everybody is in a different vessel how they handle it.
Yeah, the ECU Pirates were in a Grady White boat. It's a big one. Big one.
No truth to the rumor that we're Grady White University now.
No,
just the athletic complex. Okay.
Grady White Athletic Campus, which I'm fired up
Someone
about.
was asking me, did the university change their name because the signage was so massive?
Yeah. Well, I wanted it, and so did Grady White. Wanted it to be prominent, and
mission accomplished.
It is.
Yeah.
If you look over the last 2 years, I think our branding has gotten so much better around the footprint. I can remember my first day kind of spinning 360 and really not knowing what school you're at.
I remember.
And we are getting a lot better in that regard.
When will that money from Grady White be put to use? Because they're going to build a second weight facility.
Yeah, I want to take our time on that.
And where will that be built?
It's going to be somewhere over in the footprint of where our soccer, lacrosse, baseball, softball, somewhere over in that general area. We've got more approval processes to go through on campus, trustees, etc. And honestly, the timing right now, with everything we're going through, now's not the time.
Yeah.
I want to do that eventually because it is such a big thing, in my opinion. If you look at, we've got one weight room, and especially with social distancing, trying to schedule all the teams to get in.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a big plus for the baseball program, too, because I know Cliff has wanted his own weight room, and it may not be his own weight room, but it will definitely benefit baseball.
Well, it'll benefit all sports because there'll be flexibility for people to lift in both areas and give teams the option of going to a second place.
Yeah. So if football's using the Murphy Center, they've got an alternate facility.
Correct.
That they could use.
Correct.
Troy, let's get our last break in. We'll come back and wrap things up a little more with Jon Gilbert, East Carolina Athletics Director, who joins us here inside the Pirate Radio studios. We'll be back and wrap up today's Pirate Radio Live after this.
This is Martin Truex Jr., and as a NASCAR Cup Series champion, I love one-stop shopping. When I need fresh tires or fuel during a race, my pit crew takes care of everything. Off the track, I have an Auto Owners independent agent. They handle all my insurance in one place: car, home, life, and business. Get your own pit crew and find a local agency with Auto Owners Insurance.
This is Brian Smith with Town Insurance in Greenville. Call me today at 756-8300. Go Pirates!
This is Dr. Phil Perdue with Orthopedics East and Sports Medicine Center. My colleagues and I recognize how difficult this time is for everyone in our community. We continue to see patients during the week while taking precautions to keep everyone safe. Our extended care clinic is now open on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. so you can avoid the emergency department for your urgent orthopedic care. For more information, please contact us at 757-2663 or visit our website at orthoeast.com.
North Carolina state parks are now open for visitors. Parks should be used for exercise, fresh air, getting out in nature, or a day trip as the state safely reopens. Visitors should enjoy themselves, but please remember the 3 W's. Wear face coverings, wait 6 feet apart, and wash your hands often. Focus on moving through the park, keep social distancing in mind, and avoid large groups. While most facilities and activities will be open, please contact any state park before your visit with questions or visit ncparks.gov/open.
At Tiebreakers, we admit we have a bit of a problem. People love our wings so much that they're starting to sell their home TVs just so they can watch all the sporting events here at Tiebreakers. Seriously, we're glad you love our hand-breaded, hand-cut boneless wings that much, but we really need you to go home at the end of the night. It's okay, we'll be here tomorrow, and when you come back, bring a friend with you. For great food, great friends, and cold beer, we'll see you at Tiebreakers. Tiebreakers, break the chain, eat local.
Let us help you get back to business.
This is Donald Stocks
and Justin Judge of PIP of Eastern North Carolina.
We're ready to assist your business with branded PPE. Would you like face masks with your logo? We can do that. Plus custom social distancing signage.
Now is the time to ramp up your marketing efforts. Whether it's cutting edge, contactless, touchless marketing, or traditional direct mail, we can do it all.
We are PIP of Eastern North Carolina.
If you're like many, you may have put on the Corona 5, 10, or even 15 over the last 2 months. Well, the weather is warm and it's time to get that body back on track. At Clean Eats, we have you covered. Our weekly meal plan will quickly help you get back to where you want to be. Order online at cleaneats.com. Our cafe is back open, sanitized, and waiting to serve you healthy lunch and dinner options for dine-in, takeout, curbside, or even delivered through our delivery partners. Clean Eats, it's a lifestyle. 805 Red Banks Road, Arlington Village.
Got big dreams for your small business? You're not alone. The Gavigan Agency Insurance Services is a growing business too. That's why they work with Nationwide, the #1 small total business insurer in the U.S. Nationwide can help protect and grow your business so you can focus on making your small business dreams come true. Give the Gavigan Agency Insurance Services a call today at 252-756-1400. Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio. Subject to underwriting guidelines, review, and approval.
Welcome to Jack Brown's. What can I get for you?
You guys got chicken strips?
Nah, we don't have those.
Can I get a salad?
No, we don't carry salads, ma'am.
Well, what do you have?
We are glad you asked. This ain't no regular degular.
This is American Wagyu beef. These ain't your Uncle Timmy's charcoal bricks. Kiss the cook, kiss my grits.
Our burgers are 4 ounces of hand-pressed, made-to-order, perfectly seasoned ecstasy in a potato roll.
4 ounces not big enough for you, big man? Double patty time.
Or just grab a cheeseburger.
Jack Brown's, 805 Dickinson Avenue, Greenville.
This is Coach Blake Harrell, defense coordinator for East Carolina football, and you're listening to Pirate Radio, the voice of the Pirate Nation.
You're listening to Hour 3 of Pirate Radio Live. This hour of PRL is brought to you by Bud Light, reminding Pirate fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. Proudly distributed by Carolina Eagle Distributing since 1989. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. With approximately 100 locations throughout the Carolinas, First National Bank is helping both individuals and businesses redefine convenience in banking. Visit us today at fnb-online.com. First National Bank, member FDIC. Now let's head back into Pirate Radio Live. Here's your host, Clip Brock.
All right. Thank you very much, Shirley Rhodes. Great job today. Chandler, same to you, as Jon Gilbert joins Troy D and I inside the Pirate Radio studios on Pirate Radio Live. Got a couple more minutes to go with the AD at East Carolina, Troy.
Yeah, a little breaking news here before we end the show, thanks to our friends at the Daily Reflector, Bobby Burns, bringing this to our attention. If you have a kid that is in the Pitt County school system, and you may be familiar with this, especially if you have a child, that you had a choice whether you could do online only or 50-50 is what I call it, where they could go 1 week and then stay home 1 week and do remote learning. The Pitt County School Board is currently debating temporarily ending the in-person classes. Now, as of right now, we have not heard of if the decision has been made. That meeting going on currently. They'll have full coverage on that and with the Daily Reflector tomorrow, and of course at reflector.com. But that decision going on, and that I will tell you, if they choose to go online only. I was at the press conference yesterday. The Pitt County school system was there. There's only a handful of kids that have tested positive, and very few teachers in the system, unlike what has happened at the university, John, but very few at this point. Personally, I think there'll be a lot of disappointed folks if they go online exclusively right now at Pitt County Schools. So we'll monitor that story, and we'll stay on top of it. We'll help put the information out there online on our social media once that breaks. But I guess they could make a decision to keep it as is right now, but they also could make a decision to go exclusively online, which would affect a lot of parents, and not to mention the kids.
I need to ask Chancellor Mitchelson if he would allow ECU athletics to open up a daycare, because I think
tutoring / type of situation could be a new fundraising option for ECU athletics right now. If you,
I like
you
it.
have the you have
we
a
can
lot
put
of
them in
students
Town Bank Tower. We got the Wi-Fi.
Let me tell you something. You'd have a lot of people take you up on that, John. So that might be something we look into.
Chancellor, I'll be calling you right after this.
John, a question from a listener, and we talk a lot about the fan attendance and decisions that are kind of out of your control right now with the governor. But a listener asked, have there been any talks with the governor about football?
Not with the governor specifically. I've talked to the chancellor, and Dr. Silvernail is kind of where we've started locally, and I've talked to I have talked to every Division I athletic director in North Carolina about their plan and who they're talking to, and they're doing similar things. They're talking to their local health official to get guidance on how they proceed. So we're all in the same boat.
Is there any AD in the state that you've talked to that doesn't want to play football?
No, they all want to play.
Yeah, and even the schools and the conferences that aren't playing, I'm hearing that some of the schools feel otherwise, that they wanted to play.
Well, again, kind of to my earlier comments, I think everybody wants to play, but as you're dealing with the information and trying to make the best decision for your institution and your student athletes, we have disruptions that we're going to have to deal with. Like, it is part of where we are as a society, and so we're working through that and managing it and making sure that our kids are being taken care of.
And Campbell, for example, Troy, we talked to Chris Haymeyer, the play-by-play voice of the Camels. Their conference pushed their season back to the spring, but they are allowed to play 4 football games. So their fall season is 4 football games, and they got them all scheduled. They just added Wake Forest this week.
It's very confusing.
Kind of shows you, like, anything goes right now, right? I mean,
it's very bizarre. Just to recap, John, ECU football currently in a pause. Do you envision that pause getting restarted by the weekend or early next week?
Well, we have resumed workouts, so we haven't had a practice on the field, but we have resumed conditioning. I anticipate that conditioning happening for the next couple of days, and then we'll see what next week looks like.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time. Great having you here.
Yeah, thanks
Enjoyed
for having
John.
me.
Thank you. Jon Gilbert joining us. Troy, good to see you again. We'll talk to you Monday, 5 o'clock.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Cliff.
On Pirate Radio Live. Chandler Shirley, great job as always. We will talk to you coming up Friday, 3 o'clock, for an all-new edition of Pirate Radio Live. So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Pirate Radio Live, an exclusive presentation of the voice of the Pirate Nation. This is Pirate Radio, WGHB